everyone, today we are going to be showing you how to install the Tusk plug-and-play UTV signal and horn kit on your 2024 and newer Polaris RZR XP 1000. Now this is going to be a similar install for the 2 and the 4-seaters, and with this being plug-and-play, it's a straightforward install. You don't have to do any splicing. The connectors just hook right into existing wiring on your machine. Now you do need to know when you order this, you've got a couple options for turn signals in the front. So you've got the accent light or the bubble lights. So the accent light, that's going to be a factory look. It's a white running light, and then you have the integrated turn signals. But with the bubble lights, you can choose where you mount those up, and it's going to be at a better price point. So those are your options. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So right here we have the signal and horn kit laid out. You've got a few different harnesses, your main harness, tail harness, and rocker switch harness. The switches are going to plug right into that. Again, you have a couple of different options for turn signals, the accent light or the bubble lights. We've got some relays, a horn, the license plate holder and light. And of course, we need some zip ties to get all this wiring tied down when we're done. Now, if you need this kit or the accent light, it's available on our website. Just click the link in the description below. To get this done, you're going to need some common hand tools, and if you have other accessories on your machine, you might need some additional tools to what we have here. But starting on this side, we've got safety glasses. If you're installing bubble lights, you're going to need a tape measure, painter's tape, and a Sharpie. We've got our combo wrenches right here, 10, 12, and 13 millimeters. And then for sockets, 10 millimeter socket, 4 millimeter Allen. Then we've got our T25 and T40 Torx bits, side cutters, a screwdriver. I've got the Tusk plastic rivet removal pliers. And then to speed things up, we're using a drill and an impact driver. The first thing we're going to do at the machine is gain access to everywhere we're going to route our wiring harness. So on our machine, we've gone ahead and removed our doors. You don't need to do that. We also removed our windshield. If you have one, you do need to do that part. But the things everyone is going to have to do is remove some panels from their dash as well as the hood. And we're also going to be running this wiring through the center console. So that means we need to remove our seats as well as those center console panels. Now to give you guys an idea of how everything is going to be routed, this right here is roughly how everything is going to sit inside the vehicle. So the turn signals, that's going to be the front of the machine, and then the license plate light at the back. So if we start in the middle with the main harness, that has the 12-pin connector, and everything is branching out from here. So we've got 3 wire leads that are going to go through the dash and towards the front of the machine. Those are going to be for the front turn signals and the horn. Now back to that 12-pin connector, we've got a rocker switch harness that's going to connect into that. So both rocker switches plug in right there along with 2 relays. We also have an optional dash harness if you choose to use it. That's going to illuminate the turn signal indicators on your dash. Now in the center towards the bottom of the screen, we've got our flasher relay and our power pigtail, and that's just going to connect into our bus bar. And that's going to leave us with one more lead coming from that main harness. It's going to have a purple wire in it, and that's going to route towards the back of the machine. Your tail harness is going to clip in, and then you've got a left and right side that you're going to route back to the tail lights. And on that left side, you have a couple wires that split off, and that's going to be for the license plate light. Now, something else to be aware of is with these connectors, you want to make sure that all of the pins are perfectly straight. Every now and then you might run into one that is slightly bent. So to make sure you have a good connection, you can use a flat blade screwdriver and straighten that out. Now that we have access to everything, we can start routing our wires. And as you do this, make sure you avoid anything that could get hot rotating parts, things like that, or anything that could damage your wiring. Now, before we connect anything in, you do want to disconnect the negative terminal on your battery. And to start routing this stuff, I've got the main harness that has the 12-pin connector, and then you're going to find the 3 wire leads. So the front, left, and right turn signal wires and your horn wires. And these are going to go through the bulkhead underneath the dash. There's a little rubber grommet where we'll just pass those through. And you want this 12-pin connector to just be right behind that in the center of the dash. From here, we should have 2 more leads coming from that 12-pin connector. So one of those is going to be the power lead. We've got that power pigtail on here. We showed you this in the full layout. You don't have to use this. This connector actually hooks right in to your bus bar or terminal block. But if you want to go off those terminal pins, you can use the pigtail. It's up to you. This is just going to be easier. So the bus bar, if you're not familiar with it, again, this is just supplying power to the entire harness. And that is going to be located underneath the dash towards the top. The last lead we have from the 12-pin connector is going to the tail harness. So we're going to route this next to existing wiring all the way through the tunnel and back past the battery. So again, just going underneath these frame rails next to that battery. And then right here in the back, there's a little cutout in the plastic, and that's actually where we're going to run that tail harness. Now, to get the tail harness installed, we are going to remove the cargo bed. Now for the tail harness, we've got 3 different connectors. So this one right in the middle, this is going to the main harness, and we are at the driver's side wheel well. We're going through the firewall at that location we showed earlier. So once that's connected to the main harness, we're going to route these other 2 connectors out to each tail light, and we're going to follow existing wiring. And there's a frame tube that it kind of wraps up underneath these wheel wells. We're going to follow that back to the tail lights, and then on the driver's side, which is also referred to the left side, where I was talking about left and right as if you're sitting in the machine, that's going to split out to your license plate light. So this is going to sit at the back center of the machine. So let's go ahead and route these wires. So starting on the left side, we're going to follow this frame tube pretty close all the way up and to the back. Next, at the tail light connector, we're going to pull the OEM connector off. And our harness is just going to intercept that. So we're going to plug that OEM connector into the harness, clipped in all the way. And then we can connect our new harness into the tail light. And then again, on this left side, we have the license plate light. So I'm just going to route this to the middle back section of the bed. And then from here, we're just going to do those same steps on the other side. Next, for the license plate mount, what you want to do is center this up on your rear bumper. So going side to side, that's looking pretty good to me. Now you want to make sure you leave a little room behind the back side of this mount so you can get your hardware installed. Once you have it where you want it, you can use a paint pen or Sharpie to mark your drilling locations. And then we're going to use a 1/4-inch drill bit to drill those out. Now to mount this up, it came with a hardware pack. You're going to have 4 shorter bolts, 2 longer ones. We're going to use one of the longer ones. Go through the mount, put that in the location we just barely drilled. Then on the back of that, we've got a washer. And the washer is just going to have more surface area for the plastic that is holding this in place. And on the back of the washer, we've got this nylock nut. All right, now for the second side, you've got a couple options. You can use the other long bolt that came in the kit, or if you do choose to mount the other side with the license plate light, what you're gonna have to do here is actually drill this hole bigger in the mount, and then you're gonna have to size up on this second hole as well. And this is our 21/64 inch drill bit. If you are drilling out the mount, you want to bring it over to a vise with soft jaws or put a rag in your vise. And since this is slotted out already, you want to start with the drill bit spinning. Then back at the machine, we're going to take the license plate light. We've got the 2 wires going through the mount. And then we'll route these through, and on the back side, again, we're using a washer and then the nut that came with the license plate light. And the light itself, just put it at an angle so it shines across the license plate. After that, I'm going to reconnect the license plate light, and then we can tighten down our hardware. And with everything hooked up in the back, we can use the supplied zip ties, and we're going to tie everything down all the way up to where the tail harness meets the main harness. After that, you can go ahead and reinstall your cargo bed. The next step is to install your turn signals. So we're going to show you how to install the bubble lights first, and then we'll show you how to install the accent light. So in either case, whichever one you have, you're going to be able to get it done. Now for the bubble lights, you can mount these wherever you want, but the guideline is you want to be able to see these from the front as well as from the side. So just underneath this headlight we found is a great spot. You can see we've already drilled these out, but one more thing that you need to make sure is that your lead is going to reach this area, which ours does. So if you're drilling in right here, obviously you need to remove that headlight. You can remove this whole front bumper if you want to, but it's not necessary. I'm just using a T25 to pull the 3 screws from this headlight. There's one connector you're going to want to disconnect as well. Now to drill these 2 holes, you want to use the supplied drill bit. Again, we've already gone ahead and done that. Just verify wherever you drill, make sure there's nothing on the backside you're going to damage. And once you have one side done, it's a good idea to take some measurements and then lay out those 2 holes in the same positions on the other side. So once you have those holes drilled, you want to pop the rubber grommet off the back of the bubble light, and we're going to pop that into the hole, then install the bubble light. And each of these, they're going to say top on them. So we're going to have that facing up. And as you push this in, if it doesn't sit all the way in, you can kind of push on the back side of the rubber to get it all the way seated. And we'll do that for the second hole. At this point, we can connect our button light harness. So we've got 4 leads coming from these bubble lights, and they're black and white wires, so it makes it real easy. We just need to connect the white wires together. So we've got 2 of those. And then connect the black wires together. Now I do want to point out, some kits are going to come with bubble lights that have red and black leads. So if that's the case on yours, you're actually going to have the red leads, they're going to go to the black leads on the harness, and then your black leads from the bubble lights are going to go to the white leads on the harness. Now we're going to connect the button light harness to our front right turn signal lead. This is the lead with the green wire in it. After that, we can reinstall our headlight, and then we're going to do the same steps on the other side. The only difference is that left lead is going to have the yellow wire in it. Now, if you have your turn signals integrated into your accent light, we're going to show you how to do that now. So we already removed our grille when we removed all our body panels. If you haven't done that, go ahead and get it done. And then this front cover, there's going to be some Torx screws that you're going to remove. We're just pulling them out of the top so we can pull this back and gain access to the mounts on the back of your stock plastic cover or stock accent light. And we'll pull this front cover forward just a little bit. And the radiator cover, I'm going to pull that back out of the way, and that's going to give us access to this mounting hardware. So we've got 3 nuts on here that we're going to loosen up and remove. And if yours is not a plastic cover and it's the stock accent light, you want to disconnect it from the power. And with all the nuts removed, we can go ahead and remove it. Now to install the new accent light with the integrated turn signals, we need to route these wire leads up through the cutout in the plastic. So we'll pull those through, set the light in place, and then reinstall, or actually install the new 3 nuts that came with it. And I'll put that radiator cover back in place. From here, so we had that stock power connector already hooked into our original accent light. But again, if you have that plastic cover, this is just going to be taped up out of the way. So you're going to have to find this and untape it, and then you can connect it to your accent light. Now for these turn signal wires, the yellow one, that's going to be for the left or driver's side. Green one is going to be for the right. So what we're going to do, we have different turn signal adapters. So I have this lead from the main harness. This is for the right side. So that means it's going to be my green adapter that came in your kit if you got the kit with the accent light. So we'll plug that into the harness. connect the bullet connector. Then we'll do the same thing for the yellow or left lead. From here you can go ahead and reinstall all the hardware in this front cover and install the grill. There we go. The last group of wires we have coming through the front of the machine are the horn wires. So we need to find a place to mount the horn that these wires can reach. So we have a couple holes in this support brace right here, and we're going to mount the horn straight up to that. So I'm taking the supplied bolt, go through the top. We've got the nylock nut on the bottom. And if you want to use one of these factory bolts instead, you can do that. We're going to go ahead and tighten this down. Then all we have to do is push the connectors on. This is not polarity sensitive, so it doesn't matter which wire goes where. Now we can tie all of these wires down going back into the cab, and I'm going to tie to the existing wiring harness as much as I can. So as I get closer to the cab, I'm just going to pull any extra wire inside, and then we'll put one more zip tie down here and around that main harness. Now this next step is optional, and before we get into it, I want to point out that once you have your rocker switch installed, it's going to illuminate which turn signal is in use. But if you want your gauges on your dash to light up as well, that's when you're going to want to install this dash pin connector or the dash pin harness. So to get this installed, on the back side of your instrument cluster, you've got a gray connector. There's a little tab on the bottom. We're going to press up on the tab and pull this off. Then we're going to pop this cover open. So I'm going to press forward just a little bit, pop it up. So that's going to fold out just like that. And then we have a translucent cover on top. So you need to press in on the white pins on the side. So press in on each side of this. That's going to allow you to pop that cover up. Just like that. Pull it off. So with the connector in this orientation, terminal number 6 is towards the right side of the screen. Terminal number 7 is towards the left. We need to pop both of those pins out. So on this other side where the blank spaces are, you're just going to lightly pull up on these tabs while you pull on the pin. Now for the dash pin harness, I'm going to start with the yellow wire, and that's going to go in terminal number 7. And on the screen, that's going to be the left-hand side. And you're going to push it in until it clicks into place. So right there, that's solid. Push the green one next to that, so that's terminal number 6. So we're solid right there. And with this, you can see this one came up too far. I need to pull back on that white tab and put this in line with everything else. So with all those pins locked into place, you can go ahead and reinstall the see-through cover. And this can only slide on one way. Make sure you hear both clicks. And on the back side, we can close the gray connector or the gray cover. And then we'll plug it back into the instrument cluster. And then this end, we're gonna plug into that main harness, and it's gonna be the 2-pin connector. Next, we're gonna install the flasher relay. So with this, it does come with hardware if you wanna bolt it on, but for us, we've had pretty good luck just with this 3M adhesive. So we'll remove that backing, stick that in place, and then we'll remove the backing on the other side. And we're gonna mount this up right next to our bus bar. But the main thing to keep in mind is you do not want to mount this to a panel that is gonna be frequently removed for any type of service. Stick it in place. And one other note with that is you want to clean off the surface that you're going to stick this to. Then we'll make our relay connection. That's going to be right next to the power connector. Next up, we've got the rocker switch harness. So with this, we have two 40 amp relays. I'm just going to plug those in right now. Doesn't matter which one goes where, they're exactly the same. And they only go on one way. And then to get this routed, you're gonna have to find 2 mounting locations for your rocker switches. So we recommend using these pop-out plugs that come from the factory. We're just gonna poke those out and put our rockers right there. There's also some in the center console if you need, but if you're out of mounting locations or you don't want to use those for some reason, there is a template you can use to cut out a mounting location in your instructions. But for us, we'll go ahead and pop those out. Next, we can route the rocker switch connectors up to those 2 spots where we knocked out the plugs. We'll pass those through and then make our connections. So up here, the connector with 7 wires, that's going to go to the turn signal switch. Keep in mind these are keyed. So there's a little hole right there, right next to that little clip. You'll see the prong on the rocker. Just make sure those are lined up and press it all the way down in place. Make sure it's clipped on. Then we'll do the same thing with the horn rocker. And we'll press those into place. Next, we can connect the rocker switch harness to the 12-pin connector on the main harness. Now from here, we are all wired up. So at this point, we can go ahead and tie down the remaining sections of the wiring harness that we haven't done yet. So with that being said, you're gonna have some excess wire, and you can loop that up underneath the tunnel or underneath the dash. And we're going to zip tie the harness all the way down to the back. After that, we can reinstall the negative battery terminal. At this point, we are officially done with all of the wiring. So we're going to start with the back of the center console. Then we'll get the front one installed. Put all of the seats in place. And then reinstall all of the panels at the front of the machine. That's how you install the Tusk plug-and-play UTV signal and horn kit on your 2024 and newer Polaris RZR XP 1000. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments. And if you need to pick one of these kits up, they're available on our website. Just click the link in the description below. We offer free shipping on orders over $75. So take advantage of that and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC, Thanks for watching.